This week, more 80s toys into sci-fi props. Let's go. Hey, how's it going? Anthony Frog here, Crate Sci-Fi. Well, this week, another 80s toy modified into a sci-fi hand prop.
Let's play Simon! Simon says, come chase after me. Repeat my life sequentially.
So I went on to eBay. You guys gave me a lot of great suggestions, and one of the things that you guys suggested the most was the Simon handheld toy. I got one of these on eBay, and the plan is to sort of mod it and make it look like a hand prop. Before we dive into that, I just want to talk about, in the last video, I had the two toys and I modded the one. There's an email address for the channel now, cratesci@gmail.com. Got a great response to that. I did a drawing last night, and Brian Perkins, as soon as he sends me his mailing address, I'm going to send him that. And then I also encourage you guys to send me pictures to that email of the stuff that you make instead of sending that stuff to my social media. And I'm going to start doing like a creator spotlight for, people that follow the channel. So check out, this is a piece from Werner. I want to say Werner, right? Like Werner Herzog, Werner Kaffel. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but check out this work. That is very cool. Great work, man. So yeah, on the channel now, I'll be doing the spotlight. Email me your stuff, or if you just want to keep up to date with what's going on with me and my projects, just send me an email there and I'll add you to the list. You can check out a lot of these props that I make. Those are on the eBay. So let's get into the build. All right, on the bench, Simon says 80s toys are awesome. Now, this was the first surprise. I was like, what? Wait, what? There's a 9-volt battery? I guess, I don't know, manufacturing those days, it was cheaper to have two different, probably one is lights and one is beep bops. So it's not working, but what I know, I'm not an electronics guy, but I know basic stuff. It's like the terminals are old, they're a little corroded. So, you start with the least resistance. So I'm just trying to clean these up. Got a little wire brush. Gonna pull them out. It's interesting too, like the tolerances are different, like manufacturing, I guess, wasn't as dialed. Like the batteries kind of wiggle around in there a little, but it's all good. I get the connections cleaned up. I'm like, right on, easy, and still doesn't work. Boo, thumbs down. So I'm like, I watched this Vice Grip Garage, this guy who fixes cars, and I love that when he's fixing these old cars and something's wrong, he's like, well, we'll just pretend we didn't see that, and you move on. And while it's funny, it's there's something to it, right? It's like momentum, right? It's like, well, all right, it doesn't work, but let's not dwell on that. Let's move on. I'll deal with it at some point. So here I'm just taking it apart, which if you follow my channel, I typically don't do this because I'm using these props for film and they're going to be animated digitally anyway. But I'm like, after the Light Bright, that was a lot of fun. I was like, I like to have fun. So I'm like, all right, let's see if we can make this thing work. So here I'm taking it apart. Now, full disclosure, by completely dismantling this to every little piece, was it easier and resulted in a better paint job? Spoiler alert, yes. So, can you teach an old dog new tricks? Yes, I should be doing this all the time. But here I'm just taking off. Now I'm being careful to take off these branding metal pieces because I definitely want to repurpose these. And I have an idea of doing some custom graphics and laser cutting. So I want to make sure I get these off very cleanly. And again, I was talking about old manufacturing. So a little bit of heat loosens the glue, good to go. So there's all the components in the box because we're going to deal with that later. So now some isopropyl alcohol. Got to get rid of the gum, the old glue, and another brush. So I guess this is a brushy video. And, these are dollar store brushes. One's metal, one's just like a cleaning brush. Dollar, or what is it now? $1.51. So yet another dollar store. Got my air. So now I'm cleaning up the glue on the back of these. I think acetone probably does a better job of stuff like this. But again, right there on my bench, inches from my hand was isopropyl alcohol. Air, love my air. This is my favorite luxury item is my little air tool that I use for everything. And I'm probably going to get a bigger one now, but that's how I roll. Is I got the cheap one. If I didn't use it, then I didn't spend a lot of money. Now that I use it all the time, I'll invest in a real one. So here I'm just sanding it down, toothing it up, because I definitely want to, I'm probably going to keep it like close to a black color or metallic. Not sure yet, still thinking about it. But yeah, we want to sand it down. 220 is kind of my go-to catch-all. I got my 220, and then I'll use various sanding sticks and emery boards. And here, you know, here's the warning text. Always need to get rid of the warning text. It was on the back, so it's not that bad. Scotch-Brite steel wool is kind of like my catch-all because I am going to be painting this. I want to make sure every surface has a little bit of a tooth, a little bit of a grab. So the steel wool or the Scotch-Brite is kind of my catch-all. So now more isopropyl, more air. I'm in the zone, right? It's just like, here's the things that we do. It's meditative. And I joke, my tendency is to laugh about everything, but I do find this stuff meditative, right? If I wasn't doing this channel, I'd still be doing this because it's my thing, right? Some people go bowling, some people climb mountains. And then I've been using this adhesion promoter for the plastic. I think it helps. I get that at the auto store. It's a little cheaper than the industrial Gorilla stuff. And then there's the coat of the primer. That's my base coat. And then I do a quick run to AutoZone. I like car colors, and this brand of Rust-Oleum, these car rim colors they're just cool colors, and they're for car rims and, you know, car exteriors. So I find I could be imagining this, but I think they're a little hardier, and I love this black stainless steel. It's like, you know, this is my new thing, right? So I ran out of it. I went and got more. I was thinking like, oh, I'm going to get something else, but I don't know. I kind of was like, no, I want the black stain. And you can see there, it's still black, but there's just a little, right? For me, it's the details. It's the little, makes it different. So now these buttons are red and blue because it's a toy, and I don't want them to be red and blue. And interestingly enough, this is like a painting demo because the plastic, a lot of isopropyl in this build, and cotton swabs. I'll get to the cotton swabs later. So what I'm doing is, for the plastic, I'm going to hit that with the adhesion promoter and spray paint those white. And then for that red button, you probably can't tell, but that's like rubberized. So I'm going to hit that with a black Plastidip. And black and white buttons, I think, will look better than red and green, right? So there's the Plastidip. That's for rubber. And then the adhesion promoter and the white. And then I think off camera, I use some white nail polish. So here's the parts. I got to deal with these. How am I going to fix these? Do I have an instruction manual? Let's see. So here's my book. I wonder if there's any electronics, how to fix a Simon in my book. No, I don't think so. Oh, well, check out my book, link below. It's how I do all this stuff. But online, I was like, Simon's 80s toy. And like, sure enough, some dude was like showing you how to fix it. And then I had to get some electronics cleaner. And then I went to the dollar store, got some cotton swabs. And here's this gentleman's shout out, you know, check out his channel. I don't know. That was pretty cool. So I'm not going to make you watch me fix electronics that I don't know how to do and pretend like I'm telling you how to fix electronics. So just know off camera, I'm trying to fix that. So now here, I was telling you I wanted to customize this. So I just bring it in, I scanned it, outlined it in Photoshop, and then I'm adding my details that I want. Again, I always add that logo. It's from the last video, those of you who guessed, it's the United Corporations of Earth, right? That's like my Yutani, my Wayland Corp, whatever, that's the corporation in my sci-fi world. So I use that for everything. If I had a specific script with another logo or branding, I would use that. But whenever I'm doing general stuff like this, I use my own world building thing, which is the United Corporations of Earth. Here I'm getting rid of all of I think it's like screen printed graphics. And I just want to make sure I get some nice striation lines. It's kind of like a back of a watch. And more isopropyl. I didn't, until I put this video together, I didn't realize how much I was in on the isopropyl in this one. But it's good stuff. Good stuff to have on hand. I usually buy it from Amazon so I can get the big giant jugs of it and then put it in the squeezy bottle. So there's that. So now I printed out two because I don't know if I'm going to do the positive or the negative yet. I don't know if I want to have those lines and then just the cutout logo, or if I want the inverse of that. I don't know if that makes sense, but it'll make sense when I lay it down. And here I'm contemplating, I'm thinking which would be better, but like anything else, it's like you have a concept, but once it's in your hands in front of your face, it kind of becomes obvious. Like for me, I was like, yeah, that looks better. And then there, I was going to use that as sort of a stencil to make sure those negative ones went down in place. But no, I like this other way. So just laying it out, make sure everything fits. And then, there, so what I did there is I scanned the actual, and then I got some Gorilla Glue here, spray adhesive. I prefer the 77, but in a rush like a week ago, the 77 was out of stock, so I got the Gorilla Glue. I don't know, it seems to be fine. Like again, I'm not using this for specific, I'm using this more generally for multiple things, so it's fine. Prefer the 77, but enough on that. So here, I'm just using whatever I have around to glue these down because they stick to my fingers, then I pull it up, and then it's a whole me swearing off camera. And yeah, I'm glad I went with that. Here I'm trying to finagle the logo because it's thin and finicky, and I'm thick and lumberous. So, and I get a lot of mileage out of those bamboo skewers, right? So, I don't know, bamboo skewers, have them on hand. More isopropyl alcohol. Now, here's the thing, right? So, I talk about all the time, like I joke, like, oh, what I had on hand. If you follow my channel, I never use cotton swabs. Here, I'm using cotton swabs all over this video because in the tutorial of how to fix this thing, the guy was cleaning everything up with cotton swabs, so I went and bought some cotton swabs from the dollar store, you guessed it. And now they're on hand, so I'm using cotton swabs for everything. Here I'm toothing this up for the glue. I like to do a little crosshatch as well, just to make sure that the glue kind of gets in those crevices and grabs. Here, this was my first reason of thinking, like, why do I take everything apart? Like, I had to figure out how to put those back together. But this was the moment that it all came together for me. I was like, these buttons, they still make it look way too much like a toy. And I was thinking, how am I going to fix that, And then I was like, oh, I'll put this this rubber like grid pattern on there. So that's chunking away. Here I'm just laying down my silver. And, I will admit, taking everything apart and cleaning everything does go together a lot easier. So, I don't know. What do I know? So here, just some super glue, making sure it's right where I want it. And then you see there, the glue is just oozing into those little crosshatches we made. And then I have like little scratches on the other side of that plate, and it's all gonna bond and live together, and it's fine. And it's probably overdone because that's what I do. So here's the electronics. I put it all together. I followed the tutorial, got my buttons, everything's nice. I mean, I cleaned it up, I tightened the thing. I looked at like the common problems with electronics. I still don't know if it's gonna work yet or not. Here I put some tape on these buttons to make sure that these all lay down. And I mean, I'll admit it's satisfying to paint everything this way, but there's lots of different ways to skin a cat, right? So checking all the buttons, everything's working. I got this thing clean. I'm feeling good, man. Like I redressed all the electronics, tightened everything up, screwed it all up. So here I'm hopeful. This baby's gonna work now. Beep boop bop. Right, looking good. Again, I got to address those big clunky buttons. They're too toy-like for me. So here's, I had to go and buy a 9-volt battery. I didn't have any 9-volt batteries. It doesn't work. Man, so now is like, put it down, moving on. It doesn't work. That's a big problem. But I'm like, I don't know, am I going to buy another one? Am I going to take them? I don't know. But what I can do is put these cool stickers, these cool like graphic cutouts on the buttons. That I can do. We're ignoring that it's not working. And again, it's not essential that it works. It's just kind of a bummer when you spend the time. And here I'm heating this up, and that's just with a hairdryer. It's not crazy heat. It's just because, it's the winter. Even though I live in California, it's still a little chilly. So I just want to help the adhesion by just making everything just, like room temperature. But here I'm putting these on, and I feel like this is the best mod that I've done on this thing. It maintains, if you look hard, it's like, yeah, it's that toy, but this gives it just a little bit of a buffer to make it something different, something original, something you've never seen before. And I just use that plastic because, again, I'll use my thumb on those pads and the whole thing will come up. Ask me how I know. So here I'm still thinking I'm going to fix this thing. So instead of doing a heavy weathering, I'm just going to do a rub and buff just to give it a little life and to tamp down that black foam. I'll put it, typically if I'm just doing this, I'll just do it like on the edges. That's where it'll get banged around, put in and out of a pocket. You just think about this stuff, right? The top of it probably gets gripped there or thrown on a counter. I mean, sounds silly, but these are things I think about. And then where the buttons are wants to pop. And then since, in theory, people are pressing these would be worn down to metal. The buttons and the grit. And just aesthetically, it just kind of gives a little kickoff to parts of the build. The back, typically I start on the back first, but I've done this enough where I kind of know what I'm going to. And wait, what? Always use your cotton swabs. I'm the cotton swab guy. So, but they come in handy. So yeah, looking at that, and let's see what Past Me has to say about this. All right, so it's not working, right? Which, that's fine for me, but with these retro toy props, like with the light bright, it was nice for you guys that it worked, and somebody picked that up right away, and I assume that's because it's worked. So that was my intention with this one, but it was more for the channel that it worked. But for my purposes, like I say all the time, when I'm making these for my films, typically I'm using non-working stuff because I'm matching together things, or I'm buying non-working things from Goodwill, or in this case from eBay. It was supposed to be working, but here, some great tutorials. That's why I love YouTube. Like some great tutorials on how to fix these things. But if you see here, I'll cut to the footage. I'm pretty sure this fried, and that's why mine is not working. But not to fear, because it's not working. Now I am going to weather it up. With this series, with the toys, I've been not weathering them, but now I'm going to make this into a true film prop. So I'm going to weather it up, and then we'll do some demos of how I'll animate this in post, what I typically, and that's more truthful to what I usually do. But again, I like to mix it up for the channel. So let's go ahead and weather this up, and then I'll do a little demo of what I do in post-production on my films. But yeah, so far so good. All right, weathering. Now, I swear I didn't plan this, but I wanted to weather it anyway. So let's do the weathering. So, black, and again, in my mind, right, I do enough of these things, I kind of have ideas, like I'm sort of like thinking ahead, and I just like the black just mutes everything, ties it together, but I'm really hoping that that's going to help make the buttons less cartoony by weathering them down, right? So here, the hairdryer just kind of locks into place the modeling that I do by patting that black down, and I'm really going to be sure to get the black down in those grooves with those colored buttons. Again, I just want to mute them. They're such bold colors that they're certainly going to pop through. You know what I mean? But by just muting them with the black and the various other weathering treatments, I love when I do the air. All right, so the air, initially the air is like you're doing something wet. The air is your friend to get it out of the crevices, right? But I noticed in weathering, if I put on like a soupy sort of wash, when I blast it with the air, it just gives it a nice like kind of spider pattern. And it's something that I've leaned into over the years. Again, you could probably blow it with a straw or just not do it, just pat it down. Here, I always just use a couple random colors just to give it a little bit of pop, or I guess it breaks it up, right? Because here you have this monolithic, mono kind of colored thing. Even though it's multiple colors, it does have like a solid look. And just by putting the greens, and this is like water-based oil paint, or oil-style paint, and this is like the burnt umber, sienna. I always confuse those ones. And this just gives it a little dirty. I'm not going as crazy as I typically do. I just do it a little lightly, but see how it like, it almost like kind of gives it a sheen when you use those like water-based oil sticky paints. Then hair with the hair dryer, and yeah, I mean, that's, you know, I love that. So we got to hit it with a clear because we got to lock that in. Now it's locked in. I'm going to do my nicotine spray. You could do this with a wash like I did the black, right? But you do it with like a burnt sienna, burnt umber. And then here, I think I give a good example because this nicotine spray is so watery, right? So here you'll see what I'm talking about when I hit it with the air. I like how it just kind of like spider webs it. I don't know what to call it, but I don't know. That's a thing that I do now apparently, and I like it. And then there you see it's like, I like to get it to drip, and then I'm hitting it with the air. Yeah, man. And again, you know, a couple minutes ago, you could have stopped there and not weathered it if that's your thing. But I'm liking this. Hairdryer speeds it up. Let's see what Past Me has to say about this. Yeah. Now this is more my speed. Yeah, I just like that much better, right? So now that's all weathered up. So I'm gonna show you just some quick down and dirty animation type things that I typically do with the film props. I used to do a lot more tutorials of how I do like the VFX and stuff like that, but the channel didn't seem to respond well to that. So let me know if that's still the case. But let me show you what we do with the non-working that I typically use, right? So it's not cosplay. It's not for like on your desk so you can go beep beep bop. It's like for a film. So let me just show you what I would typically do with something like this. All right, I'll take it from there. Thanks, Past Me. Typical, just simple light animation, beep boop bop. Oh, here's like, oh, what does that symbol mean? Oh, and then, oh yeah, we're talking to the alien. Yeah, okay, alien. So that's what I typically do. Here's the beauty shots. Yeah, I mean, I just think the thing for me was the putting those pads on the button that changed it from a prop to like, hey, isn't that toy? Like it. Yeah. I just love the weathering so much. Now, initially, when I thought this was going to be a working thing, I wasn't going to do my weathering because I didn't want to mess up the electronics. But luckily for me, it said, yeah, weather me up. And again, I did that little demo of how I do these as film props. If you want to see more of that VFX stuff, I love to do that stuff. But like I said, early on in the channel's life, there really wasn't an interest in that. So got to feed the algorithm. So yeah, very happy with that. And actually with the weathering, it's less noticeable as that Simon toy, right? So yeah, very cool. So like I said in the top, we got the creator spotlight now. Send me your stuff. Email me there if you want to be added to my email list for notifications. Check out the Patreon. Helps me make sci-fi. And be sure to check out the eBay page where a lot of this stuff is for sale. And special thanks to the patrons on Patreon. You guys really make a difference. And I'll say it again. Remember, I'm just here to help make sci-fi.
Hey, I'm just the avatar, but you might want to check out this video, maybe that video. For sure, subscribe if you haven't, and check out the merch. Buy some merch, that really helps. But hey, what do I know? I'm just the avatar.